Do you mind if I sit down?
It's fun. This is recording anyway, so
Like bloody hell, I'm gonna be stood up
for the
for
video. Oh,
ages.
have we got like your electric desk that I need to watch you?
Do you wanna record this now?
This is my favorite part. This is a dramatic entrance, is what you're doing. There he is.
Hello.
Sam,
How we doing, people?
are you comfortable? Should we start?
Yeah, I'm great, mate.
Good. Happy days. It was the treadmill before, so I think that this is a little bit better for the ears.
Yeah,
Um, People on audio are going to be like, "What the hell is going on?" Um, right. First question out the blocks. This is just going to jump right in. Why should I not cut and why should I not bulk?
uh, well, maybe you should. It depends on your goals and ultimately what you're trying to do with your body. If you're trying to compete in a bodybuilding show, by all means, do it. Do both. If you're trying to look good shirtless and feel a bit more confident, ideally all the time, I wouldn't do either because with each bulk and with each cut, you gain excess fat that you don't need to. And with each cut, you lose a lot of muscle as well as the fat that you didn't need to gain. So you stay stuck in this purgatory of trying to get the body that you want, but never quite getting there or getting it briefly and then losing it and repeating the cycle.
How did this come to the point where because I'm the same like in my and you I don't know if you are because obviously you've built a business on the anti-bulk and the anti-cut, but why are we so predisposed to want to bulk and cut? Like I get this like I need to almost do it if that makes sense. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go on a bulk, put on a bit of size, or I should probably cut down a little bit. Why do we have this need to do it?
I think it's just it's marketing and it's bias as a result of popular opinion. I can't remember the name of the specific bias it is, but the more that you see something or the more type of advice or information you see, the more you don't just believe it, but accept it as the norm. It's like conformity bias, I think. So
Mm.
you'll just begin to do that, especially if you don't know so much about the gym and your body and body composition. You'll just follow in those footsteps because, starting the gym, if you're a guy, it's always the competition of trying to get wham, trying to get big. And then you will just, if you lift, venture down that route um, and get carried away with it because everyone else around you is doing it. It's all you see on social media. You scroll, the algorithm rewards popularity, which usually equates to the most extreme examples of bodybuilders and influencers. Even if you don't like it or think it looks good, you're interested, so you watch it, and then it's pushed to you more, and it's just the culture around. I would say that's why.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because we've got these people that we don't really want to look like feeding the like it's the fountain of knowledge comes from people that we don't really truly want to look like. Like I've never like yeah, I want to look good shirtless, but my association to do that is listen to this guy that's as wide as he is tall tell me that I need to eat 7,000 calories and do you know what I mean? Train 6 times a week and do nothing but eat, sleep, and fucking put out like what why is it that these people that are not not the goal own the market? Like, how has that happened? How have we got to this point?
I think it's algorithmic. It didn't used to be like this. When I was
But like the
start,
Arnie started it, didn't he? Like,
yeah, yeah, he did. I think there is a part of it that comes down to trends and body standards and things like that because there was the bodybuilding era in the 90s and that was a thing. But it was very much seen as what it was. It was like a very unique kind of thing to be doing that had a particular outcome, just getting huge, and that was very focused. Whereas now, and I think over the start of the millennium, it just started to seep into forums and YouTube once that started, and these people were giving advice, because don't get me wrong, they know how to build muscle, of course they do. It's just that,
Well, it makes sense, right? Doesn't it? It's like eat more,
yeah,
grow more.
yeah, it's like they know what they're doing, of course, but it just began to pick up algorithmically with these platforms like TikTok and Reels and Shorts, where it's not content you search for, it's content you're shown based on how you interact with it, or how the majority of people do. And then it's shown to you, and I think that's made it worse. Like, yeah, it's a weird one. It's just it's all around you, so you'll follow it regardless. And you might think to yourself, well, I'll just try and take a bit of their advice because I don't want to get as big as them or look like them. But it's fundamentally the wrong advice. So it's like you will mess it up because you don't execute a bulk or cut properly, because you don't know what you're doing, and it's also not applicable to your goals. You just end up getting a bit fat.
Yeah, if you take a page out of the book of bulking, you're just going to get all the bad stuff of bulking, not the benefit.
Yeah.
Right? Like there is, like you said, if you want to be a bodybuilder, there is merit in bulk and cut, but you have to sort of go 100% into each phase, or you get the shit stuff and none of the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I've seen that firsthand. I'm sure you have. Is that why you built your business based on not bulking and cutting?
Yeah.
What's your experience with it?
What, with bulks and cuts specifically?
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, why did you get so against it?
Because I spoke about this recently, but I remember I've been lifting for maybe 8 years now, and when I started, I was skinny, really skinny, and so it made sense to build some muscle, and anyone would look at me and think, yeah, he needs to eat, and so I did, and it sort of worked. But then it got to a point where I'd got past the beginner's gains, and then I was just beginning, as the muscle gain slowed down naturally, based on my lack of experience. The fat gain didn't, and this is the problem. And so then I just started to get fatter than I did muscular. And I remember my mum sort of said to me, or, whilst I was kind of living at home in between uni years, summers, she was like, what are you doing? Like, you're just kind of getting fat. And I was like, yeah, I feel like I am. And she'd literally microwave me like bowls of oats she'd do it for me because I was so grossed out at how much I was eating. The thought of, I'd wake up like bloated and full, like, fuck, I've got to eat those oats. And my mom would literally make them, there'd be no flavour in them. Food was very much a tool. Now it's like something I enjoy again, and is a big part of my life, but it was just like, that's why I started to hate it. I was like, I don't look the way that I want. I started this to feel more confident. I feel worse about that. And I'm always in this purgatory of like, well, in a few months, I'll be where I want to be. And it's like, well, what? It's not where you started. Like, you've passed points you said would make you happy in terms of how you look. And you're still just in this pending state, like waiting to feel good about yourself. So I just moved into a calmer, more balanced, slower approach of improving my physique, where I just always look the way that I want, and then anything else is just gradual improvement.
Mm-hmm. I spoke about this last week with Hannah as well regarding nutrition, but the objective isn't to, like, there's no end goal to having a good physique or feeling or eating the right food. It's like getting married, right? It's like you don't get married to tick the get married box. You get married to continue being married. You have a kid to not just be a dad, tick that, right? I'm a dad, cool, done. No, it's like you continue being a father, right? Continue being a mother, you continue being a husband, you continue to stay in shape. You are always in shape and you always feel good. And then, like you said, your progression will, it'll still be going up, but it'll be slower. But at least you're feeling okay during the period. It's like, I think Alex Hormozi said, like, the objective of patient isn't to sit around and wait for something, it's to distract yourself doing something in the meantime. So when we're like bulking or cutting, you're always waiting for this end goal, like, right, I'm bulking until I get, mine used to be 90 kilos. I don't know why, I was always quite light, but fat. It was a bad place to be. But I had, the goal was always like, if I can get to 90 kilos lean, I'm happy. or 90 kilos was just the goal. And I got to 90 kilos one day and I was like, I was out of breath, fucking stood on the scale. I could hear myself breathing. I was like, this is just awful. This is not what I thought it'd be. And then I lost 3 stone in 3 months on this mad cut. And then I felt equally shit on the other end. And I
Yeah.
was like, fucking hell, man, what is going on? Like, what is going on? And this is an interesting conversation between me and you because you started, like you said, the skinny guy trying to get big. I was always the fat kid trying to stay lean. How much do our body type, what are they called?
Oh, the
You learn when you're kids.
somatotypes.
How much are they real?
No, not really. They were kind of disproven. Um, yeah, that was a concept, a theory that was, yeah, it was initially like believed to be true, but it's
For
more.
people listening, what are the three? Because there's three, isn't there? There's like soma,
Well, you
says
have ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph supposedly, where an
right.
ectomorph is like the skinny guy who doesn't put on any weight. The
Yeah.
mesomorph is the kind of stockier guy who can put on muscle easily and also fat if he tried or stopped paying attention to things. And the endomorph is the fat guy.
Mm.
What I think they found, I mean, I'm not 100% certain on this, but I think it's really just a lifestyle thing. Your
Oh,
eating
really?
habits, your activity level. Like if you look at if you look at the skinny guys, they're like, oh, I just can't put on weight. Well, it's like, well, no, you just don't eat, and you move around and do 20,000 steps a day. Maybe that's related to that. It's really not a genetic thing too much. It really is just driven by lifestyle.
I, I sit somewhere because I've seen. I get what you're saying, and but I've seen people like being a personal trainer myself before. I remember I coached one of my good friends from school, who was like always very, very, very skinny. Like he maybe because he didn't eat, but then when he started wanting to put on some size and get bigger, and he came to me at the gym, I put him on a reasonable amount of calories, like a surplus. Um, and that at the time he was eating like 3,000 calories. I said, right, fuck it, let's go for four. Let's just see what happens. Didn't put any in it, no weight at all. We did that for like 4 weeks, and I was like, this is weird. We got up to 7,000 calories, and the kid was not putting on size, but no, like weight in any realm. He wasn't putting on any fat. He was getting bigger, he was getting stronger, but he was feeling like shit because he was eating all the time. What would you do with a guy like that came to you? Like, just would not like 7,000 calories.
I I would probably say I'd want to verify that he was eating that much because unless you're with him every hour of every waking moment, I'd question it
Mm.
because 7,000 to even maintain that for more than 2 days is unlikely.
It was rough. He was struggling.
Um, and then that might have just what likely is the case is that that might have been the goal and it might have been met for a day or two, but because it's so obscene that amount of food is that he probably started just tapering down naturally
Mm.
because he just couldn't, even if he knew it or
Mm.
not. Like you will not continue to eat that amount. Like it's just impossible, and so you'll start kind of cutting things out or maybe just skipping meals or things like that. He might have also been incredibly active. Some people do have hormonal factors that can make it, like thyroid things. That's usually where people talk about weight gain, but I'm pretty sure there are things that can make it go the opposite way. And that
Mm.
in rare cases that can be related, but more often than not, it's just general inaccuracy with data collection. Like
Mm.
it really is metabolism
So
too
the
fast
ectomorph,
metabolism.
if I was to call him an ectomorph, actually he's just someone that's eating less and moving more than me as a mesomorph, for example.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you put two people, me and him, on the exact same diet, same movement, and got it down to like granular tracking where we were doing it identical days, same amount of sleep, same hydration, same everything, would we have the same results? I know this is like deep, weird questions, but I'm trying to, for someone listening, I'm trying to, if they are defining themselves by a certain way, like, oh, if I look, you've heard it all before, like,
yeah,
if I even look at a cake, I'll put on weight. Do you know what I mean? People like that, or I'm trying to get them to see like if you just follow the basics and do them consistently, you will have the same results as that person that you think is progressing quicker than you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you you would see similar results. I wouldn't say exactly the same because that sure, again, I think hormones play a role. So especially when it comes to muscle gain, that directly impacts the amount of muscle and the rate at which you'll gain it. Of course, testosterone levels, but between two young, otherwise healthy men, I would say if calories and just the energy balance was properly calculated to be identical between you, given that you're different sizes, right? Like the surplus was the same size, stuff like that. Also training history, that might play into it. Obviously, if he's newer, you're not, whatever, that's part of it. But aside from those factors, if all else was equal, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't gain the same amount of weight.
Crazy, isn't it?
Because
So the people,
like
well,
like if we're talking about fat gain and muscle gain, the two types of weight you can really gain in terms of body composition. Fat has 3,500 calories per pound. So that is quite literally the amount stored in a pound of fat, and that is the same across all people ever. So that would be the same. And then muscle gain is the only variant that would differ, and that would purely be based on training history and duration, because your body responds differently based on how long you've been lifting, how used it is to the stimulus, and then hormone levels. And those are the only two factors. And sleep and recovery, but we're assuming all that's equal.
yeah, for everything, yeah. So with the people you're helping now, what's like a walk me through the conversations and the processes that you go to take someone from when they come to you to into the process and getting them to where they want to be. Like, how does that look from a high level?
So from a normal standpoint, there are different entry points, but the most common is that someone will come in an average weight and height, not necessarily overweight as per their BMI, anything like that. They will just say, hey, I've been going to the gym consistently for a few years, just look the same. Like I'm plugging away at it, but I look the same. Usually they have a bit of fat that they want to shift. It's nothing major. Most people would think it's nothing, but they want to get rid of it, and lower than they would want muscle mass. So the first thing that we do is always get rid of the fat. So we don't cut to get rid of it, but we do something called a reset. So what that looks like is if your maintenance is here at a level like yours, mine, every
Got my hands out.
yeah, I have to. So that's your maintenance, and your food, if it were to meet that, would mean that you wouldn't gain or lose weight mathematically. A cut might be like taking your calories down here, and yes, you'd lose a lot of weight, but that would mean fat and muscle, which isn't necessarily what we want, or it isn't. The reset is more like a very small deficit, and it means that you will drop fat but not necessarily weight, because you'll likely maintain the muscle because we're not starving you. Might even build some if you're newer to training, which a lot of guys do. And yeah, it takes longer to whittle down the fat, but you're doing it sustainably, and this is the whole thing, to the point that you get to 10 to 12% body fat, which is really quite lean, but because you didn't rush to get there, you didn't suffer in the process, you didn't get cravings, you didn't give up everything you like about your life, you whittled it down slowly. I've literally done this like to this point since January. Like I'm almost 10% body fat, and I feel pretty good because I've just taken my time. And then when we get you there, we stay there, we do something called a taper phase, where we kind of slowly move your calories back up to your new maintenance, because it'll be different to where it was. Stabilize there.
Just let me pause you there. So what do you mean your maintenance will be different from what it was?
Well, because your maintenance calories are, it's a number of calories that you need to maintain your weight. And once you're a different weight at the end of that reset phase, it's going to be a different level, different number. Also, if you've built muscle, having more muscle in your frame means your maintenance is higher, because muscle's expensive metabolically. So that there are factors that feed into you just needing a different amount of food versus then to the beginning. So
is that typically lower then if you're...
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost always, because the amount of weight you lose will be a bigger lever than the amount of muscle you happen to gain in that process, which increases your maintenance. So on average, it's less. It's then a case of us figuring out what this is for a couple of months, because a lot of people get this lean and then they just return to their normal eating habits, just live their life because they're happy with it, and then they put the fat back on. So it's a case of experimenting to find out what your new maintenance is by slowly increasing your calories weekly and watching your average weight. So we take your weight daily and take a weekly average to compare the increase in calories to and see what's going on. Once we see your weight stabilize, not drop anymore, but not increase, we then know that that's roughly your maintenance. Then, and this is the important part, we don't bulk from here, put your calories right up. We might just tip them over your maintenance by 50 or 100, if we even need to do that. If you're newer to lifting, you can definitely get away with building muscle and maintenance for a long time. So it's not even necessary. And you kind of just stay there in that slight surplus or at maintenance until you need to do something different, right? And because you're so lean, you kind of always look the way that you want to look anyway. Like you always look quite impressive, you'll feel quite confident. You don't need to prep for a holiday or a wedding or whatever. You just have that baseline, because looking good is primarily about just being really lean. And then you're just always building on it, but not with the fat. Do you see what I mean?
So from someone, I'm just going to use myself as an example, because I'm not ripped, I'm not massive, I'm not fat. I'm sort of just in this always be ready state. Like if I wanted to go on holiday, I'd probably drop some calories for a few weeks and I'd look a lot better. Do you know what I mean? I'm in that position that you said, that starting point. How long would you put me into what was the first phase called? Reset phase. Like what would be your approach with me? So I eat about 3,000 calories. I run a few times a week. I lift like 3 times a week. What would you do with me? Just drop my calories?
Are you just maintaining at the moment?
Yeah.
What's your weight and height?
80 kilos, 6 foot with socks on.
Right. In your case, what would be your usual cutting calories?
I haven't cut in that long. I don't know. 2-4.
So if 3,000 is roughly your maintenance, that's quite a big deficit. So it wouldn't be that big. It would probably be 300 below, so 2,700 or so. And we'd stick at that. The fat would start to go. Your training wouldn't suffer because you'd still have quite a few calories. Your weight wouldn't drop massively because you're not losing any muscle or carbs or glycogen from your muscles in a big deficit either. But the fat would begin to whittle away. And it wouldn't. One thing that's important to note though is that it wouldn't, like if you came and said, "I've got this holiday or this trip or whatever," like a lot of people when I talk to them and that's their reason for reaching out and having a call, I say, "Look, just forget about that." Like as much as you'll have made progress by then, just forget about it. Because the moment you start drawing these finish lines in your head, just feeds into the same problem of these bulks and these cuts and these cycles of doing things. It's like the goal here is to look how you want. That's just not bullshit. So if you want to look like that, you should probably also want to keep it, right? And so it's like, yeah, okay, well, let's get you to that lean standpoint more sustainably so that you then by that way can keep it. Then you won't need to think about these finish lines again. So it does take longer, and I'm always very upfront about that. We don't sign anyone up for less than 6 months, even if they've got some event in the middle. And then we just do it sustainably. And then you get there and you stay there.
And is that 6 months? Would that be from start to finish through the 3 phases you mentioned? So reset for a period of time, taper, and then build up. Would that typically, obviously there'd be iterations of each phase for each individual, but would that whole process typically take the 6 months?
No,
depending on the starting position.
It will take longer than that.
Really?
Yeah. So that would only be the case where someone came in at like 15, 16%, so not overweight or even fat whatsoever. That might be sort of wrapped up in the 6 months. But the whole point that I'm trying to communicate on my videos and on social media is just to zoom out. Like 6 months is the minimum program length we'll do, because anything less is just a waste of everyone's time. But I kind of prescribe on calls now, and I'll say, based on your weight, your height, and how things look for your year ahead, you need the year. Like, I'm not even going to say let's do 6 months and see how it goes. Like a doctor, you need the year for this process to see something tangible. And then, even then, it's not the end. It's like you will then continue to just build and not gain any fat and just go from there.
Do you ever get a lot of pushback on this? I know I've seen some of your comments and some of your stuff you have on social media. You do get a bit of shit for it, but like on a call, do you have people going, is there, or even clients, like, is there no way to speed this up? Is there any way, because I've got this event, like, because like we said at the very start, we're so predisposed to, like, mini cut is now a thing
Yeah.
where you're like half your calories for 3 weeks before you go on holiday, and you're not into that phase of atrophy because you're not being in a deficit for long enough, so you keep all your muscle but you shred all the fat. And then do you ever get pushback and go like, can I not just half my calories and full send, and then when that happens, then I'll be happy?
Not in the coaching, because everyone's been pre-framed correctly coming into it. So that doesn't happen. The clients know that
You've done all the rewiring before.
Yeah, and that happens before they sign up through the content. So it's like they come in with that expectation. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. Like a lot of people go, yeah, I've got this thing coming up, but I know like that's not the end point. I'm not going to try and rush. I'm going to enjoy myself when I'm there, but then I'm going to get straight back to it afterwards, and it's not the finish line. So people have kind of, at least in my community, have kind of have that expectation.
So if you had the opportunity to sit down with someone who had never seen a piece of your content before and had never heard anything other than you need to bulk to get big and you need to cut to get lean, how would you speed run a rewire so they're primed for something like your way? What would be your initial, like, right, fuck that, ignore that, that's bullshit, this is why? How would you do that?
Well, before I did that, I'd want to know for sure what their outcome was that they wanted. Do you have that context for me, or do I not know? Like, what's the physique they want here?
Just the typical guy. I mean, I know you don't necessarily coach women directly, but it's the same sort of stuff generally applies. Calories in, calories out, movement, whatever. But just the standard brainwashed person that, I don't know, they go to the gym after work. They don't really train that hard because they don't really know what they're doing. But then they go to Mackey's afterwards because of the anabolic window, and if it fits your macros, they got to get the calories in. How would you like take that person? Because that is 80% of the UK, unfortunately, is just brainwashed people that don't know how to train, that feel like they need to do something. What would you do?
Well, I would say,
Just want to look good.
if you want to look good, you need to firstly understand that a lot of the advice you're taking right now is not applicable to what you want. It's from people that devote their lives to winning competitions based on a look. And unless that's what you want, it's probably a good idea to stop following it. And what you need to do instead is that old saying, that cliche saying of fitness isn't just, whatever, it's a lifestyle. And as cringe as it is, it has a lot of weight to it, because if you want to have the outcome where you're confident in the way that you look, you can't sacrifice your confidence for the majority of the time in the way that you look for a short window of having it, and then just like that defeats the point. So the first thing is kind of taking a step back and thinking, hang on a minute, this isn't even congruent with what I want. You're supposed to feel good and confident about how you look all the time. So the way to do that is to firstly understand that to kind of look lean, kind of defined, athletic, just like you lift, which is what most people want, most guys want anyway. It's about being lean. Like when you look at these actors in films that everyone kind of idolizes, like Brad Pitt or, whatever, Zac Efron, they're just really lean. Like when you have a decent level of muscle, which most people can get after a couple of years in the gym, it's just about maintaining a low body fat. So that is the sole focus. And the first thing to do is that reset phase, which I spoke about, reduce the body fat, take your time doing it so you don't lose muscle and lose your mind, and then get to a 10 to 12% body fat range, whatever's comfortable for you, where you're really quite lean, not shredded, but really lean. Learn to maintain it and what that means for your eating habits, tracking, that sort of thing, calories and macros, which you do need to do. And then once you've done that, that's the hardest work. Then you just know what your maintenance is. You put your calories slightly above it and lift, run, do something which gets you some physical activity in terms of cardio as well. And then keep that as your baseline and progressively overload in the gym as you were. But because you're so lean and you made a point of getting there and staying there, every amount of gains that you make after that will be so visible. And that's how you approach the gym as someone who isn't trying to be a bodybuilder.
It's quite front loaded then.
It is. That's the repair job. And then it's maintenance.
So just grin and bear it for 6 months to a year. Get yourself into that, what they call prime position, isn't it? Like you've undone all that bullshit that you've put on over the years, your bad habits, and then just don't go back there. You've got your second chance.
Yeah, and it's also worth mentioning that the first phase isn't supposed to be really tough. It's definitely a change. But if you've ever done a cut before and you have, like a lot of these guys, actually got really lean before and like hated it because it is hard, it's not designed to be like that. I've learned from my own experiences through cutting and bulking. I've got shredded before. And the interesting thing is that I'm almost as lean as I have been at my most lean after a cut, but I feel 10 times better right now because I took twice as long to get here. My calories are not as low, and it really.
So when we go back to that maintenance conversation, I've got the hands out now. When your maintenance is up here, and that's like your normal that you're used to eating, and because most of the time people, even if they have excess body fat, they're not putting on loads of fat, especially if they do go to the gym and they do have somewhat of an understanding of what they should be eating, and they do attempt to be in shape. They're not necessarily regressing, they're just not progressing, right? They're quite stagnant. So that their maintenance calories is probably up here. If you very quickly cut and drop down here, yeah, you might look how you look now, like you said, but because you're always in that deficit to maintain there, you've got this horrible feeling 24/7. Whereas what are you saying, over time, if you just bring this down, this is coming down as well. So you never really create that much of a pain gap.
Yeah.
You just always sort of, it's manageable, it's okay, you can, and you tend to forget about it.
And the thing is that maths is maths. Like, it's just, like if you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose fat. It's just that how quickly you lose fat. And you can get away with a much bigger deficit when you have a lot of body fat, like you said. And that would be fine at first. You probably wouldn't feel too bad about it. It's just that if you continue with a deficit of that size, then you'll feel it. And also the fact that you did put yourself in such a big deficit at the start, even though it was manageable at the time and it felt fine, that then has a tail end, and then it starts to affect you later down the line when you continue with that deficit. So it's just all about not rushing, because the choice you have to make is, do I want to, wait, how do I word this? The choice is, you can either try and get there and not get there, or get there slowly and keep it. Those are your options. Like, do it once properly, or keep trying over and over again, because you make yourself suffer so much you can't keep it up, let alone maintain it.
How are you going to battle this new, as I still very much think that the majority is in favor of, and without education, I'm going to caveat this with, like, without proper education, the majority is still with the bulk and cut phase or idea, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
And it's getting worse. It's now GLPs are getting involved.
Yeah.
So people, they can justify the quick cut because it does inherently speed up that process, and they can get to that baseline that you're talking about faster without the pain, because it's that suppressant, and then they get there, which then encourages the bulk cut way, right? Because, I've cut way quicker and I held onto my muscle. Now what? How are you gonna battle that in your content? Or you are already battling it?
It's the same thing. It's just impatience, and like it's not even. People want to avoid pain, yes, but I think even more so people are impatient. And so the GLP-1 stuff, that is just, I mean, they're appetite suppressants. So people just, yes, it's avoiding the constant food noise or whatever people call it, but it's really just a very quick way to drop weight, because if you don't eat anything, really, you will drop weight rapidly. And it's all of this is just part of the bigger problem of just impatience and instant gratification. It's just in a different field here with fitness, but it applies to everything. And I have no problem like sharing my views on it, because a lot of people, the majority probably would disagree, but that's exactly what I want to happen, because I'm not trying to talk to them. Like, if you're fine living your life like that and doing these cycles, and that's how you want to build your body, go for it. But I know that for the majority of people who are always dissatisfied at the end of each of those cycles, like I remember how it was for me, I'd get to the end of the bulk and think, I wouldn't even make it to the end of the bulk half the time, because I'd be like, fuck this, like, I'm so fat, and my face, and I wouldn't even make it. And then I'd cut out of impulse because I felt so shit. And then I'd lose all that muscle because I did a huge deficit to quickly get out of it, because I was so sick of eating. And it's like, that is bordering on an ED. And I don't say that kind of thing often, because I think people think calories and tracking, all of it is. But when it messes with your confidence levels, because you're always swinging between two extremes of how you really don't want your body to look, it's just not.
I fully agree. I do think it's an. I think it is I think it's glorified ED. I think could you, like you said, you never get to the point of finishing the phase because you feel that shit about the way you look, and people would justify it. Like, remember, you got to get fat or like this excess weight is part of the game. Like it's normal to do that. And like, it's not that. It's not normal.
No,
It's
it's
not
not.
normal to encourage that much fat gain. People spend their life trying to lose fat, and because it's because of the unhealthy. It's literally excess energy that you do not need. That's why it is being stored as fat. So the fact that that's encouraged for a phase, and then when you don't have the bodybuilding show at the end of it, like 99% of people don't, it's very hard to stick to. And the people that do stick to it, great, you've got to the end of it. Now you've just got more work to undo.
Yeah.
Right. And there is going to be muscle loss with that much fat on your frame. There will be. So you're probably going to get back to a point where you were before you started, with maybe a couple of pounds of extra muscle that you're barely going to notice because it's going to be distributed across your whole body. Like, you're not going to get these huge, big swings that you think you're going to get when you're bulking and cutting. And that's why people dedicate their life to bodybuilding, not just they do one show and then, oh, I'm a bodybuilder. No, there is, like you said, the cycle does work, but it's a very 3-4 shows a year continuous process where you have to be constantly going through the cycles. But unless you are competing, you're never going to get the full effects of the phase. So you're going to get fat in a bulk, and you're going to get skinny fat in a cut, and you're going to feel like shit. So what's the point? Like, you got to ask yourself, what is the point? Because if you're doing it to feel good, and you associate, and maybe we're all got a bit of body dysmorphia, I'm sure you do, I definitely do, where you associate the way you feel with the way you look, right? When was the last time you felt conscious about the way you look?
It was that pivotal moment, like a few years ago, where I was at the peak of a bulk. I had just broken up with my ex at the time, and it was unrelated. I just remember it as the time frame. It was the end of that summer, and I thought, right, I can really focus on gym now. That was my mindset.
Mm.
And I was like, I'm gonna bulk like this winter. I'm gonna get
winter arc.
I am, and I was like, I'm gonna get wham. And don't get me wrong, I got huge. Like, I built a very decent amount of muscle. I was the biggest I ever was, pushing the most weight I ever did. That was great, but my stomach was growing faster than anything else. My face was really round, and I was just like, nah. I was dreading food. I wouldn't eat my mum's cooking because I was like, I just can't eat it. It was really nice. I was just like, don't care, not interested. Or I was just trying to stuff it back. And I just thought, I might be the biggest I've ever been with the most amount of muscle, but I don't even want it. Like, let alone the fat gain. Obviously, I don't want that. But that was really the pivotal moment where I thought, this isn't just not what I wanted from the start. And you're right to say that there's a lot of body dysmorphia that comes with it. The goalpost moves. And that's body dysmorphia when you go to the gym, is that you don't. You'll probably relate to this when you have certain moments where you catch yourself in certain photos or angles and think, fuck, like I actually look big, or I actually look really lean there. And it's like, well, maybe that's actually how I look. I just don't see it most of the time. And so I started to have more of those moments, and I was like, okay, I'm actually way bigger than I ever intended to be, and fatter. So I would quite like to, I kind of reevaluated. I did my big reset phase the following spring, which was always going to be my cut. But then I got really lean, and I thought, I don't want to go back. I'm not going to do that again. And then I just stayed that lean. And I've lost some muscle since. I'm not as big as I was, but that's fine because it was never my goal.
How did you, what was your, I guess, journey from that moment where you're like, right, can't even eat my mum's cooking, to today? How did you learn a new way? Because again, it's not education. I truly don't believe it's education that people are following, that they've gone and learned. It's brainwashing. It's so intertwined with what they think is real. How do you step out of that and go into, even one, being receptive to another way, and then two, what's the best way to learn this new way specific to that individual? Obviously, we're going to plug your coaching and we're going to try and get you some clients, but like, what outside of getting a coach and being told what to do, or is that the answer? Do people just need to get a coach?
Yeah, you need some help, but it doesn't have to be me or us. Like, I don't care. I feel like what we do is pretty unique. I'm told that all the time because there are a lot of people that disagree and hate me for it. And then a lot of people, a very small number of people that really do like me for it, because they're like, finally, you're actually saying what I was thinking or what I want to do, which is great. So you need some help, but it's important that you get help from someone who speaks your language and promotes the outcome that you want and has proof that they can make that happen for you. It might not be us, that's fine. But get help, because I didn't, and I had to, like, in life, you either learn things through mentorship, teaching, and you get to learn from other people's mistakes, or you just eat shit and have your own experiences teach you, which takes twice, 3, 4 times as long. So the best thing you can do is get someone to help you who you resonate with. Or in my case, unbeknownst to me, I just did it the right way and then learned that that was the right way. And now that's what this coaching is. That's what we do, is that system. But I just did it that way, and it happened to work. And I'd say for anyone else in that position, if there's something that you're not quite sure how to go about, just get someone to show you, whoever that is.
When was your epiphany moment, eureka moment, oh shit moment, where you're like, I'm onto something?
It was that following summer. I was shredded. Like I guess I'd done the cut, although I didn't approach it like a cut. I approached it in the way that I've spoken about, like a gradual deficit, very slowly. And because I'd gotten that lean before in the past and felt like shit because of how quickly I tried to do it with a goal in mind or some trip or something, I then looked at myself in the mirror, like veins all over my abs, and I was like, I don't even really want to be this lean, but I've managed to get this lean, and I actually feel all right. I don't feel like I'm dragging my heels or, no energy. I was going on runs, like half marathons, gymming. I was just like, wow. And I don't have that much muscle, but I look quite big just because of how lean I am. And if I can do this, then this is probably the way forward, I think, for a lot of other people who want a similar outcome. And then I liked it so much that I decided to make a point of staying that lean. And since then, that's kind of what I've done.
Is that when you became a coach, or were you a coach before that?
It's funny because that winter where I broke up with my ex, or the end of that summer, I then decided to. My friend told me to start posting on TikTok for a fitness account because I'd always been to the gym. I started the gym with him actually, and previous to that, I did like a mental health page. So I'd always done social media, but he said you should really do something with the gym. So that winter, I decided, in combination with being broken up with, not being in a great place, that I would then move to the gym content. And I started, it's funny, posting like the bulking stuff, the how to make the best meals to bulk, how to like all of this shit. And so it changed with me as my views. And I think this is really important to be able to acknowledge just for everyone, is that it's okay to look back and be like, I was wrong, or my opinion changed, or my view changed. And it did. The content's there and I pull it up and talk about it a lot, but it changed with me as I realized this. And so it started as me really trying to help skinny guys bulk up. Like that was my tagline. Now I look at that and I'm like, no. So it's been a journey, definitely.
And now, tell us about your business now. Like, it's blown up, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's so what we do now is it's me and a team of coaches. It's community, really. It's where we all share the same sort of belief, like coaches and clients, that looking good, looking athletic, and feeling athletic and being able to perform like one in whatever field that is for you, running or swimming, whatever, goes hand in hand with lifting. So looking good all year round, feeling confident shirtless, not being bulky, but just looking like you lift, looking athletic, and being able to perform that way too, without it taking over your life and without these bulks and these cuts, just adopting that lifestyle. That's what we do. And so whether you're starting from coming out of these bulks and cuts and you're really lost and you're realizing it's not resulting in what you actually want, like physically or in how you feel, we fix that. We don't work with beginners, so if you're a beginner, like get a PT in the gym, but just to show you the ropes. But then if you want to get your body to a point where you feel confident in it all year round and slowly build on it, then that's what we help with.
It's unfortunate that yours has to come after a bad experience. Like, I'm not saying you should coach beginners, because I don't believe any beginner should have an online coach. Like you said, I think you need to have a PT first. But it's sad that you have to get to the point of, what the fuck am I doing wrong, to then go, maybe there's another way.
Well, most people come in through that route, but then some know the basics of the gym, but just have already realized that they don't want to go down that route. Like it's 50-50. Some haven't even bothered. They're like, I haven't bulked before, I haven't cut, but I can tell I don't want to do that. And so they come in and just do it right from the start. Or you have the people like me who have gone through the motions with bulking and cutting and are like, yeah, it's not for me. So they come in both ways. The fundamental thing is you just need that lifting experience. Otherwise, as you say, it doesn't work because you don't know what you're doing in the gym.
And it's like, it's obvious that people need external motivation to start something and then to continue it. I've struggled with this quite a lot in the past, when I feel like I'm not training. Maybe again, it's the bulk and cut sort of somewhere still deep inside my brain where I need to complete a phase to feel good about myself. But I always have to have something in the calendar as like otherwise I feel like I'm just floating. Like right now, I'm in a float period where I'm sort of just going through the motions. Like my priorities on my business and other areas that I've always got, I'm just sort of sat into my training a little bit, and there's no real, I don't know, reason to, in my head, like get up and do it. I'm going to continue getting up and doing it. But do you think people need that? Is that why you break it into phases on a psychological level? Do you think people need to have an associated phase with what their intention is at the moment, or can you just have it as a sort of omnipresent thing in your life?
I think the phases have a functional purpose, like to fix your body composition. So they do serve a genuine purpose for people new to it. But like in my own training, for example, the build phase, which is the last one, that is a permanent state. Like the point of it really, it isn't maintenance, but just a slow build. So there is that progression baked into it where I'm still going to the gym, trying to progressively overload and build muscle and strength. I've just accepted that it's going to be much slower because of the trade-off of not gaining fat, and I don't care. I'm fine with that because I've got the muscular base that I want, but there's still fun in it for me because I'm still gaining strength every week, and I'm still trying out different lifts. Like,
I'm going to say, so you can still create those finish lines in your mind, but associate them to things that are relevant to the phase that you're in or the period that you're in. Like I know I saw on your Instagram the other week. Have you done it yet, by the way? Like the leg raises.
oh yeah, I've smashed them. Yeah,
Yeah, but that's like an example, isn't it? Like that's
yeah,
not really like you're going to dedicate your life to doing 12 leg raises. It's just more so alongside your training, you can add a fun little landmark in and
yeah,
go, this is something that I can work towards in this period.
yeah, and
Or it
even
might be
running.
running a certain distance or, yeah, running a certain time. Because it's fun being fit,
Yeah,
right? It's fun being in shape. And I think people need to, and again, I'm not saying this from a hierarchical place where I do this and everyone should follow me, but attaching your looks to your goals, I think, is quite a difficult place to be. You're never going to be happy.
yeah, and I think honestly, like what I'm doing here, not to get too passionate about it because I do when I talk to people, but like I'm trying to
Get as
build,
passionate as you want.
like I really give a shit. Like I'm really trying to build a community of guys. Like we've got over 100 clients now, and we all think in the same way, and it's why I'm quite protective about even people who come in. I say no to people all the time because they're just coming for the wrong reasons. They're like, yeah, I just want to get shredded for my holiday in Ibiza in 2 months. I'm like, mate, no. Unless you're willing to commit for a longer period of time into something bigger than just your body, but really just your lifestyle changing, you're not right for this. And then they don't sign up, and that's fine. And sometimes they have a rewire on the call, and they do. And it is just about, yes, looking the way that you want. But once you look the way that you want, it is good to just maintain that, build on it slowly, and then find other little pockets of goals and
Side
things
quests.
literally side quests. Like for me, the leg raises, or one of my friends here has signed me up to a ultra at the end of the year, and I haven't even done a normal marathon, and I'm like, right, shit, well I've got that was on, but that was
Yeah,
not on my terms. But I was like, well, I guess I got to train for that, and so it's
yeah.
things like that which really break it up and make it interesting. Um, and yeah, just not obsessing over your look once you've achieved it, because that then is the baseline. That's what you maintain. That's what you keep, and you build on it slowly and find other things to focus your energy on. Not to mention, you probably have a life that you want to live as well, so that should take up some of your time.
And but I think that's an important thing to raise. Like when you are in that point of, and like I said, I'm a firm believer that no one's ever truly, truly happy with the way they look. Truly, like deep down. I think you'll always inherently pick yourself apart about a little bit, right? Maybe it's just me, but I think there'll always be, even when I've looked my best and I've felt like great, and I can look back on a picture of me now, absolutely shredded, and I know in that phase, even though I've done it healthily, even though I've done it the right way, I still want it to be maybe a
Yeah,
bit leaner, or maybe my shoulders a bit more capped, or maybe my chest a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Like there was always, I know at the time, but now I look back at it now and go, fucking hell, it looked amazing there.
yeah, yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, but in that moment, I think, but so I think those side quests are so important to take away from the the objective being the way you look. It should be the way you feel, the readiness that you have. Like you could just jump into, not maybe not jump into an ultra, but you could just jump on to the 5K park run and finish it happily and have a laugh with your friends. You could go on a bike ride at the weekend that you've just been invited to. And just having that comfort, you can take your top off at the beach. You've got that just like level of, okay, I'm all right. I don't need to obsess over that. And then that takes energy. That obsession, that fear takes energy, and that energy can be applied into other things, not just into your fitness, but if you feel good, your business might be better, your work might be better, your relationships might be better, your like you can run around with your kids, you can, do you know what I mean? Like you've got so many other areas to pull from now that you've got this energy that's not been obsessed over the way you look.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you probably won't want to run away on the weekend and go and drink and do whatever you do to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
They're they're all intertwined. And this is probably a sales thing, but I've found I've gained so much more respect from people, and I respect people who are in shape, who look like they're in shape in some capacity. It's probably bad, isn't it? Really?
I think it's human nature because we all know it's not easy to attain, let alone keep. So it just signals that someone can delay gratification and takes care of themselves, which means they probably take care of people around them, they take care of other things in their life, they have things in order. Just signals trust and stability, follow through. Like these are just all respectable traits that we admire, so it makes sense.
I think. Do you think you could? I know it's going to be a difficult question to answer because of the business you have, but pretend it wasn't the business you had. Do you think you could operate on the level that you operate? Because you're one of the hardest workers I know. Like you're mad, and I mean that with I mean that in the most positive way possible. Um,
Yeah.
do you think you could operate at that level if you weren't, or if you were at that winter where you're at the peak fatness or bulkness that you said?
No. And it's interesting you raise it because both from a physiological standpoint, I feel worse. Like I feel today's a rest day, for example. I have calls later on with some prospect clients, some current, and I know that I will fundamentally think differently or maybe even come across differently because I haven't had a workout before. I don't want that to be the case, but it just is. And so there's that. So physiologically, I feel worse for not exercising as fundamental as rest is. But also, I'd feel like a fraud. And in the beginning of the year, I really let my standards slip. I gained a bit of fat because my business was really busy in January. Like I thought that was busy versus now, like I had something coming. But this time, I've actually been progressing on my own. Like I've got really, really lean, and that traditionally would feel pretty terrible and be a challenge in itself. But I've also 3x my business in that time, and so I don't feel like a fraud because I'm like on the phone speaking to these people like I'm living it, mate. Like I'm also doing it, so I feel perfectly fine about talking to these people about it because I'm also doing it. So I feel great in myself just because exercise has that effect and it allows me to operate at that level, but also because I'm walking the walk.
Love it, man. Right, let's reward these people that have been listening for an hour before we jump off. If anyone is still listening, thank you. But you've given them the phases, like reset, taper, build. In application, what can like give them a workout? Not every exercise and rep range, but just like a week split. What's the best universal week split that someone can work towards? And I know it's goal relevant, but give like as generalized as you can, like a framework, a skeleton of something that someone can plug in and go, here's what I should focus on.
I always advocate for a 3-day full body because whether you're a beginner or advanced, it tends to be the best, like the broadest application for most people because it's the fewest days that you can really lift in the gym and see a good result because you're hitting all your muscle groups 3 times per week, but you're only going to the gym 3 times per week, so it's time efficient. You're doing a full body, it feels quite natural. You're not worrying about splitting things up or how to focus on things, which is unnecessary. Just some basic compound lifts on each of the days, some upper, some lower, maybe 3 for each of the days, and then 3 isolation movements, by which I mean some arm stuff, some ab stuff. Just have 3 days like that, write them down or get one of these apps, just plug it in or get one of these AI apps to make you the program, and then just track the lifts. Try and do more reps each week, try and do more weight each week, one or the other, and just keep plugging away at it. Don't change things all the time. You need a level playing field each week. Do that, and as long as your nutrition's in check, you'll see results.
Any runs, any cardio, any?
Yes, but it's not like the cardio isn't necessary to probably see a result if you want to see a result, at least initially. it's all down to the food. So you can run, and I think you should, or do some cardio. I encourage it, but you need to factor that into your activity level in general, rather than assume it's part of the process of looking the way that you want.
And then from a real basic standpoint, someone could go online, TDEE calculator, work out generally based on the height and weight where they're at, subtract 300 from it, prioritize some protein and go at it for 6 months. Look in the mirror and see what happens. Track your weight.
Track your weight, take it every day and take an average. It's way more accurate than just randomly weighing yourself. And don't read into the weight too much. You want to take photos weekly as well as your average weight weekly and compare. Sometimes you'll see what you want in the mirror but not in the number, and vice versa. So do that. Track your calories very accurately. Don't mess it up at the weekend, because that skews your entire weekly average. It's very possible to ruin it all. Adjust your calories if your weight stops moving or the photos stop changing in whatever direction you're going in. That's it.
So simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's scary how simple it is, but simple doesn't mean easy, does it? It's a simple concept, but actually following it and doing it is the difficult part, and that's why you exist. So go on, plug yourself.
Yeah, so if you are interested in just feeling good, confident, shirtless all year round, and you don't want to get bulky or massive, but you just want to look like someone that lifts, that can run, looks athletic, you can head over to my Instagram. It's at Sam Herling Fit. You can apply for coaching, and if you're a good fit, then we will jump on a call and see if we can make something work for you. It's everything we do is custom, so we'd need a conversation to see what it could look like for you, but that's where to find us.
Yeah, man. Amazing. And just a note for everyone that is listening, Sam, genuinely, like, we've worked together before. I've seen you come from pretty much the start of your business to where it is now, and it is absolutely insane what you've done. You really have, like, etched your name into the fitness industry properly, even though you're completely anti everything that is being shoved down people's necks. And that, I think that's both brave but also admirable, because you've built a business that's very successful doing it as well, that wouldn't have happened unless you'd been through that yourself as well. So that's my little nice thing to you. Don't think I've said it before, but you genuinely have smashed it.
And also, you helped me a lot in the beginning, obviously, like, and ongoing. I think I've seen you kind of evolve as well, so it's been quite cool to watch. And I think, you've had me on calls before where I've had to be making decisions about the future of my business and the trajectory of it, and you've helped me through those. So I owe a lot of it to you.
And neither of us are fat, and neither of us bulk and cut. So
there you go.
There you go. That's the common ground we have. We both run, we both lift, we both are pretty chill when it comes to it, and that shows in our businesses, doesn't it? So
yeah, that's that.
Anyone listening, stop obsessing and just do the simple stuff. What is it? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
KISS. There you go. All right, mate. Lovely having you. Thank you very, very much.
Of course.
And we'll try and get you some clients. If not, just follow him, because it is gold. You post a lot.
I do.
Too much. Get used to his voice. But yeah. All right, mate. Nice one.
All right.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.